I'm with Supervisor Mandelman and wanted to ask you about what's going on with City College. The unions, the San Francisco Labor Council, Labor Movement is united that they get the $2.7 million in funding, the appropriation. There's 7 votes. It requires 8 votes to be veto-proof. What's your position on that?
I don't support the supplemental.
Why is that?
Because the supplemental that's been proposed will not achieve what people are saying it will. The City College administration and Board of Trustees has canceled classes. The Board of Supervisors and the City and County of San Francisco have no ability to turn classes back on. And City College has financial problems that are well in excess of $3 million. So over the next year, and as part of the city's budget process, we're going to need to figure out how much money we are going to be sending from the city's general fund over to City College to help stabilize the place. But it's going to be much, much more than $2.7 million.
The Labor Council and the unions are saying, let's use this money as a bridge until the rest of the money comes in. Why are you against a bridge to keep these classes going?
Because, as I've said before, it's a bridge to nowhere. There's no plan now.
There's additional money that's going to be coming in?
No, there isn't.
No? What about the money on the ballot?
The Prop 13 reform? I mean, I support Prop 13 reform. I would not build my budgetary assumptions around certainty that California, which has passed so many bad tax measures in the past, is going to figure it out and reform Prop 13. I will work hard for us to reform Prop 13, and that'll give us money to spend on things that are really important, like schools and education and health care.
But the city has an extra $150 million. Surplus. I mean, there's an extra budget.
There is a reserve. There is a reserve. City College has spent.
And the 2.7.
City College has spent through a $150 million reserve of its own. It has now gone.
Where did the money go? Because it seems the figures are changing every week there.
The money has been spent to keep classes running that were not full.
Do you trust Chancellor Rocha? You think he's doing a good job?
I'm not in a position to say whether Rocha is doing a good job or not.
Well, Supervisor Ting said that he should have prepared for the closure of the elderly classes, of the older workers classes.
I think that, if City College was in this dire a situation as it appears that it is, we probably should have had a conversation about this before the middle of the year. 6 months ago, or less than 6 months ago, the board did agree to send an additional $10 million a year over to City College to pay for free City College, and they are now using that money. They are using that money to help not be.
But if they're closing classes, that's not helping people. People can't graduate who are in vocational programs. I mean, they're closing the senior classes.
And as I said, I'm open to sending more money over to City College, but it has to be part of a comprehensive reform effort.
That may be when City College no longer exists. You support the downsizing, turned it into a junior college under the state legislation?
I am sympathetic to the goals of the state legislature to help.
ALEC and Lumina Corporation Foundation?
Well, now you're putting words into my mouth.
That's who was pushing.
I don't support ALEC and Lumina.
That was their legislation.
I support, and I don't know that I supported, let me go back a step. I support doing things that make it easier for kids who are going on to a 4-year degree or who are trying to get a certificate from City College, kids or adults, to be able to do that as quickly as possible, particularly improving the outcomes for kids of color.
Why punish kids who can't afford to go full-time for 2 years? That have to work part-time.
I don't think we should. And that's
what the legislation does.
And I am a believer in lifelong education. I was a strong supporter of Free City College. I have.
Well, then why won't you support the $2.7 million?
The $2.7 million makes no sense. The $2.7 million.
Why is the Labor Council supporting it?
I don't know. I can't.
Are all the unions in San Francisco supporting it?
I cannot.
You think they're wrong?
I think they're wrong.
Yeah, you think the unions are wrong? They're supporting 2.7.
On this, I think they're wrong.
And you've got a lot of billionaires in San Francisco. Yeah. Why is it that the students and the college teachers have to beg for their classes at City College? Why is it? I mean, we got a lot of money in San Francisco. There are more billionaires here than in most cities of the world.
We should be able to tax.
Well, why isn't it? Why isn't it happening?
We should be able to tax income locally. We should be able to tax wealth locally. We should have much higher marginal tax rates at the state level and the federal level. We should have more. Are you
calling for that? Are you calling for a capital tax on the billionaires in San Francisco?
Absolutely.
Have you introduced legislation for that?
Well, we would require changes. We can't even do an income tax. We can't even do an income tax in San
There could be a transit tax. There's no transit tax on big business in San Francisco.
What do you mean by a transit tax?
Transit tax on the big corporations in San Francisco to pay for transit.
Oh, an impact fee, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I support fees.
If you introduce resolution to tax, I don't know of any resolution to tax the downtown corporations.
Well, there is a transit impact fee. We just increased the jobs housing linkage fee.
I'm not talking about new housing. I'm talking about the billionaire corporations in San Francisco. There's no transit tax making them pay for transit in San Francisco.
Well,
there's no transit tax in San Francisco.
There's a gross receipt tax. Okay.
There's no transit tax.
Okay. I'm open to it. I am generally pro-tax. So.
But you're not for $2.7 million for the students.
$2.7 million, because I don't think it's financially responsible and it doesn't make sense to me.
Are you worried that the labor is going to be unhappy with your decision because teachers have been laid off, they've lost their health care, students can't get classes, they can't graduate? Are you concerned that that's going to affect your support in the election?
I have to do what I think is right. I listen. I'm open to hearing from everybody, but I've yet to hear an argument that I found compelling about the $2.7 million, given the scale of the problems at City College and given the work that I think that needs to happen to reform the institution. I think I know a lot about City College.
Are you in favor of the privatization of the Balboa Reservoir and selling off more campuses?
I'm not opposed to housing getting built on the Balboa Reservoir. I'm not opposed to it.
By developers, Avalon, $100 million condos. Don't you think it should all be affordable on public land?
I'd love to have all affordable on public.
Well, 100% affordable on public land.
If you show me the revenue for it, if you show me the money to help pay for it,
you're not. But you're not. Are you for the principle that if there's going to be housing on public land, it should be 100% affordable?
If it means there's going to be no affordable housing built, then no. If we have to use housing for higher income people to pay for housing for lower income people, it's not ideal, but it's better than no housing for poor people.
Yeah, but then you were at the supervisors saying that they should sell off some of the campuses. That's one of the solutions to the problem.
I think that well, I don't believe in selling public property, but I do believe in long-term ground leases.
So you're in favor of selling some of the campuses? You think they have too many campuses?
I believe that City College has 9 campuses. I believe that City College needs to have its revenue and its expenditures line up. That may involve additional support from the city, but at some point, City College has to be able to balance its books. It hasn't been balancing its books for nearly for a decade, and we have to figure out a way to make that stop.
You think there's an attack on public education in California and around the country? Privatization and corporatization of public education?
I would say, yeah.
Is it happening in San Francisco?
I mean, I think it happened. I think the underinvestment in public education is a national problem that is felt in every single city in the United States.
What does it say about San Francisco when you have City College where they're cutting over 1,000 classes have been cut, and the teachers have been laid off, and students can't graduate because they can't get their classes?
I think it's alarming, and I think it's from a mix of perhaps not enough revenue for the things they need revenue for, and really, really poor management. And I think we have to fix both.
Well, you were part of the management of City College. Don't you hold some responsibility for that?
Sure, and I think we made some improvements in the management of the place, and I have not been there for 2 years, and
Your assistant has been there. Tom Temprano, hasn't he been there?
He has.
Is he in favor of this? Is he opposed to the $2.7 million?
Tom Temprano has to speak for himself. He's an independent elected official who gets to have his own opinions.
I think that there should be a conflict, or maybe a conflict of interest. You have officials and their aides working as trustees at City College?
I'm sorry.
I think there might be a conflict of interest having a supervisor and then having a position, then his aide on the campus who's dependent on his employer, which is you.
I don't think so, because we do not discuss or work together on City College issues.
So you don't have any discussion about City College issues?
He gets to run his own. His job as a trustee is separate from his job in my office.